by the court's radical remaking of American law. We've already seen the conservative supermajority on the court roll back long-held personal rights and force the country to the right with its overturning of Roe v. Wade and its gutting of affirmative action. But the brazenness with which this court has operated during this year's historic term has been a shock to the system. In the past few months alone, the justices handed Donald Trump multiple lifelines, including a major victory that could help him avoid criminal prosecution, even for trying to overturn the results of an election and for leading an insurrection. The court's decision on presidential immunity could fundamentally reshape the federal government, as could a series of decisions that strips the regulatory powers of the administrative state. But none of this happened by accident. The transformation of the Supreme Court has been part of a decades-long effort spearheaded by something called the Federalist Society, a nationwide organization and a professional network of conservative lawyers. It's a leading proponent of originalism, an approach to interpreting laws based on the plain meaning of the text of the Constitution and how it was understood at the time that it was written. It's an approach that ultimately led to the fall of Roe. Since it was founded in 1982, the Federalist Society has been a resource for generations of conservative lawyers and jurists and other legal minds, and the group has also helped many of them rise up the ranks of the judiciary. All 6 of the conservative justices on the Supreme Court today are current or former members of the Federalist Society. In fact, 5 of those 6 justices were chosen with the help of one man in particular. This man, Leonard Leo. He's a right-wing megadonor and co-chair of the Federalist Society. In the early 2000s, he helped George W. Bush choose John Roberts and Samuel Alito for the Supreme Court. Years later, Donald Trump turned to Leo and his organization for advice as well. During an interview with Breitbart, while on the campaign trail back in 2016, Donald Trump said, quote, "We're going to have great judges, conservative, all picked by the Federalist Society." Leo helped Trump create short lists of possible Supreme Court picks, and all 3 of Trump's eventual nominees, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, came from lists that Leonard Leo created. The majority of Trump's other nominees to the federal bench were current or former members of the Federalist Society as well, but Leonard Leo's influence goes beyond his work in reshaping the federal courts. He's also been supporting Project 2025, the blueprint for the next conservative administration, and that's been coordinated by the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank. Last month, in a press release announcing the formation of a task force to counter Project 2025, the Democratic Congressman Jared Huffman noted, quote, "More than half the groups supporting Project 2025 effort have received $21.5 million in funding from Leonard Leo's dark money network," end quote. While Trump recently claimed that he knows nothing about Project 2025, and I'll have more on that in a few minutes, many of his past and present colleagues, including Leo, are deeply involved in the effort. It's important to note that Project 2025 is not just about the draconian policies that conservatives want to impose on Americans. It's also about how conservatives want to radically change how the federal government works, from expanding the powers of the presidency to installing loyalists throughout every level of government, to packing the courts with Federalist Society-backed jurists, and by granting broad immunity to the president and essentially dismantling the administrative state. The conservative supermajority that currently dominates the Supreme Court just made some of Project 2025's key goals much more achievable. Joining me now is Kermit Roosevelt III. He's a professor of constitutional law at the University of Pennsylvania Law School. He's the author of the book, The Nation That Never Was, Reconstructing America's Story. Professor Roosevelt, good to see you again. The conservative supermajority on the Supreme Court presents a specific challenge that is not easily undone. Generally, justices retire when the person in the White House is ideologically aligned with them, which means we could have a conservative majority for a while. We could see the replacement of a couple of the older justices in a second Trump term. Tell me about this. Is this a flaw in the system, or is this just a fluke and a coincidence of timing?
Well, it's absolutely a flaw in the system. So when the framers wrote the Constitution, they weren't thinking about political parties. They weren't thinking about the Supreme Court as a power center that the parties would fight over. And so to them, it didn't really matter how many justices a president got to appoint. But now we have a system where the two parties are fighting to control the court. And if you had a rational system, their ability to do that, the number of justices a president can put on the court, would have something to do with winning national elections. So the Democrats have won 5 of the last 8 presidential elections. They've won 7 out of the last 8 popular votes. But we've got this 6-3 Republican supermajority. And that really doesn't make any sense in terms of how we staff the court.
Let's talk a little bit about the Federalist Society and its role. It has been remarkably successful over the course of several decades. The Federalist Society has gotten a boost from the likes of Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell, who recognized the value in transforming the judiciary and then acted on it. Tell me about how we should be thinking about the Federalist Society and its role in our government and politics.
Well, we should be thinking about the Federalist Society as a very far-ranging, wide-reaching, influential organization. But what I was saying before is I think we need to think more about the structure of judicial appointments and the structure in particular of Supreme Court appointments. Because the fact that you've got the Federalist Society grooming these future justices and putting them forward to presidents, it wouldn't matter so much if we had a rational system for putting justices on the court where it mattered if you won a presidential election, not if you got lucky when some justice died.
Let's talk a little bit about this structure of the Supreme Court. There have been several ideas floated, impeachment of justices. Some people say that there's a political issue with that, in that impeachment of the president has now become a tit-for-tat, back-and-forth thing. Let's talk about the expansion of the court and what your thoughts are about that possibility.
Yeah, so generally, I think there are 2 problems. One is a structural problem, which is what I was talking about before. The way that we staff the Supreme Court just doesn't work. And term limits is the solution to that. But the other problem, which is more immediate, is we're seeing this attack on the very foundations of our constitutional government. So the Supreme Court is reshaping our constitutional structure. It's going to tear out the bureaucracy, which is what gives stability to the country. It's going to empower the president, which means when you get a Republican president, they're going to be able to do what they want. They're going to be able to implement this crazy MAGA agenda. And so the only way to take the Supreme Court back in the near term is actually court expansion. So you need to add justices to get us to the balance that we would be at if we'd been appointing justices in a reasonable way rather than the sort of random strategic retirement death way that we've been doing it.
And in fact, compared to other democracies and size of country, our Supreme Court is actually small. And in fact, relative to its workload, it's small. But how do you expand the court and not make that an ongoing political situation so that in 10 years we've got 45 court members? You have to expand the court and then engage in some sort of structural reset of the way the court is done. You talk about expanding the court so that we're in balance. Then what happens?
Well, then we should have term limits. And then we should hope that, the other side accepts this as a reasonable way to go forward. Because when people say, oh, you can't expand the court, you're going to set off this retaliatory cycle of tit for tat, they don't seem to understand we're already in that process. So when the Senate said we're not going to consider Merrick Garland, they were shrinking the court, right? We're not going to consider any Obama nominee. And they said they'd do it to Hillary Clinton if she won 2. They're taking the court down to 8. When Trump wins, they take it back up to 9. So they're manipulating the size of the court for partisan advantage. And, that can't be an option that's just not on the table for Democrats.
What does expansion of the court can be done now? What does imposing term limits require in terms of the work to get that done?
So one of the interesting things here is court expansion seems more extreme, but that's clearly constitutional. Term limits, it's arguable that's unconstitutional. You might need an amendment. But the proposal that I've worked on most closely is you just say each president gets 2 appointments per 4-year presidential term, and the justices are in active service for 18 years, and then after that they rotate into something like senior status, which is what they do now when they retire.
I want to ask you...
So you put them on regularly, you take them off regularly.
Got it. And that's typical of other Supreme Court systems in the world. There's some things about America's system that are just atypical. Is there any real explanation for that, or is that we set up our Supreme Court system under a democracy before a lot of similar countries did?
Yeah, I think other countries learned from our mistakes in some sense, because our system of appointing justices is crazy. Our system of taking them off the court is crazy too. So no other industrialized democracy in the world has chosen life tenure. A lengthy fixed term, like 18 years, is enough for everyone else in the world. And for the states, too, right? The states don't do it. Our U.S. states. So no one else does this. And it's pretty clear we wouldn't do it if we were starting over.
I want to talk about this Project 2025 situation. It's not the first time that the Heritage Foundation has put out a playbook like this. It's not even the weirdest thing in the world that an outside group would do it. It usually is left to either the candidate or the party to put out a platform. But why is this so concerning in light of the fact that the Heritage Foundation and these conservative thinkers seem to have a willing participant in Donald Trump? He's, depending on what day, he seems to be distancing himself from it or not. But it does look like a playbook for the next administration.
Yeah, it does. So the Republicans didn't have a platform last time. And their position now seems to be, we're just the party of Trump, whatever Trump wants. So then you have to ask, well, where's Trump going to go? Who's putting these ideas out there? And Project 2025 is a terrifying blueprint for an authoritarian future. And if they can succeed in this, and the Supreme Court is helping them at this point by weakening the administrative state, if they can succeed in this, it's going to be a very different country. It's going to be an America that you won't recognize.
Kermit Roosevelt III, we always appreciate your time. Kermit Roosevelt III is a professor for the Administration of Justice and professor of constitutional law at the University of Pennsylvania Law School. He's the author of the book, The Nation That Never Was, Reconstructing America's Story. All right, coming up, Donald Trump claims he knows nothing about Project 2025 or the people behind it. It didn't take my team very long at all to debunk this lie. All we had to do was go straight to the source. Trump and his allies are all over this 900-page document. Then Democratic Senator Peter Welsh of Vermont will weigh in on the dangers of Project 2025 as it applies to another potential Trump presidency. And in just a few moments, President Biden will arrive at a campaign stop at a church in Northwest Philadelphia as he works to reassure the public that he's still the best option to take on Trump.
Blackstone knew you deserved a better way of cooking. And you responded, igniting an outdoor cooking revolution, creating better backyard celebrations. You'll make every breakfast, lunch, and dinner better. Cook anything, anytime, anywhere. Go to your nearest Blackstone retailer or blackstoneproducts.com now and make everything better on a Blackstone.
I'm Richard Karn, and I love my hose. My hose is lightweight.
Oh, no.
My hose will not kink.
Come on!
And my hose is anti-leak. It ain't those old hoses. This is my hose. The new pocket hose Copper Bullet, now infused with real copper, so your water is always clean and lead-free. Just turn on the water and watch your hose grow and grow to a full-size 3/4-inch hose. It stretches and expands like a rubber band. And when you turn off the water, away it goes, shrinking and squeezing that water out until it's practically bone dry. And that makes it easy to carry and put away. Our new inner tube uses 3 layers of high-strength latex on the inside. Then it's wrapped in a new polymer filament jacket, similar to the technology used in forest fire hoses because it's light and tough. 3 times stronger than the other hoses. It's guaranteed for 10 years. Nearly impossible to tear or snag. And the redesigned connector protector helps stop leaks at the spigot. But my favorite part of our new hose build, the oversized, easy-to-grip fittings. Easy on and off, even with gloves. With more than 100 patents worldwide, it's the best pocket hose in the world. Get the super light 25-foot pocket hose Copper Bullet today for only $29.99. But wait, call now and get our copper spray nozzle with our exclusive thumb drive free. Simply use your thumb to turn off and on. And with 10 unique patterns, you'll have a setting for every job. It's a $30 value, yours free with every 50-foot Copper Bullet. But it's not available in stores. This is an exclusive release of our newest pocket hose. There is a strict limit of 3 per order, so don't wait. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-377-3152 or visit copperbullethose.com. So call 1-800-377-3152 or visit copperbullethose.com. Order now.
We love garage keypads. They're easy and convenient, but you never really know who's using it or when. Introducing the all-new MyQ Smart Garage Video Keypad. With the built-in camera, you get streaming HD video day or night. Create up to 16 custom PIN codes and get real-time notifications when the keypad is used. It's not just the key to your garage, it's the key to your home. Go to myq.com and get $30 off with promo code TV69.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20. Go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
Homeowners, when your water or sewer line breaks, it's expensive and often not covered by basic homeowners insurance.
You could pay thousands.
Finding a good contractor can be tough.
Want this guy doing the job?
With a plan from HomeServe, call us. We'll send a contractor, and there's no big bill.
Easy.
But don't wait. Get a plan from HomeServe before a line breaks.
Go online now.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $7.99 a month.
Call 1-833-735-4495 or visit homeserve.com.
After Homoglow cleaned our place for $19, we fired our old housekeeper. Homoglow tackled everything, from our kitchen to our bathroom, all our laundry. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19.
On Friday, somewhat out of the blue, Donald Trump posted this on his social media platform. I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. Now, from the get-go, we all know that wasn't true, so we set out to debunk it. And honestly, I thought there might be a little more legwork involved in spelling out the web of connections between Donald Trump and Project 2025. But then I realized all you have to do is look at the table of contents of Project 2025. Let's literally go through it. The author of each section is listed right here, and I'm just going to list them. Forward, A Promise to America, written by Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation. Trump has name-checked the Heritage Foundation several times, including just a few months ago when he wrote that Roberts, quote, should keep going and get the word out. Chapter 1 on the White House office was written by Rick Dearborn, Trump's former White House deputy chief of staff. Chapter 2 on the executive office of the President of the United States was written by Russell Vought, who is Trump's former director of the Office of Management and Budget. Chapter 3 on managing the bureaucracy was co-written by former advisor to Ronald Reagan, Donald Devine, along with Dennis Dean Kirk, a Trump nominee for the chair of the Merit Systems Protection Board, and Paul Dans, a Trump appointee to the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. Paul Dans is the director of all of Project 2025. Okay, Chapter 4 on the Department of Defense, written by Christopher Miller, who was Donald Trump's acting Secretary of Defense from November 2020 through the end of his term. Want me to keep going? Okay. Chapter 5 on the Department of Homeland Security, written by Ken Cuccinelli, Donald Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security. Chapter 6 on the Department of State, written by Kieran Skinner, the Director of Policy Planning for Donald Trump's State Department. Roger Severino, known to be aggressively anti-abortion rights and anti-LGBTQ+ rights, and who served as Donald Trump's Director of the Office of Civil Rights for the Department of Health and Human Services. Well, he wrote the chapter on that department. Peter Navarro, who served as Trump's top trade advisor, he's currently in prison for contempt of Congress, authored part of the chapter on trade. The more you look in here, the more you find. If you look at the Heritage Foundation's website, you can see that the associate director of Project 2025 is a former special assistant to Donald Trump. Here's the Heritage Foundation's press release. Quote, John McEntee, former director of the White House Presidential Personnel Office in the Trump administration, is joining the 2025 Presidential Transition Project, Project 2025, as a senior advisor. Some of the organizations listed as part of Project 2025's advisory board are led by top Trump allies, like the former Trump chief of staff, Mark Meadows, who now leads the Conservative Partnership Institute, and the former Trump advisor, Stephen Miller, who now is president of America First Legal. I literally don't have enough time to list every connection between Donald Trump and Project 2025, but I can absolutely confidently say that Donald Trump's claim that he, quote, knows nothing about Project 2025 and has, quote, no idea who's behind it, end quote, is, how do we say it in Canada? Complete and utter BS.
I've never once had to wait for insurance to approve a test or approve a medication. We didn't have to worry about any of those things thanks to the donations, and our family is forever grateful because it's completely changed our lives.
America, you love Alien Tape, and now you can get 2 rolls for free. That's right, free. Introducing Alien Tape, the double-sided ultra-strong tape that bonds instantly and holds on tight.
Just cut Alien Tape to size, place it where you want it, peel off the back, and it bonds instantly to almost any surface. And when you're done, just give it a twist, and it comes right off. Check this out. Alien Tape works on glass, metal, wood, tile, carpet, and so much more. It sticks instantly to almost anything. Alien Tape's nano grip technology locks into place and holds tight. Alien Tape is great for a quick fix all around the house. Hang outdoor lights with no tools. It's perfect for installing security cameras. Alien Tape instantly locks down rugs and holds them in place so they don't blow away. Just cut Alien Tape to size, peel off the back, place it where you want it. It bonds instantly and locks tight onto almost any surface. And when you're done, just give it a twist and it comes right off. No nails or screws. You'll use it indoors, outdoors, and it even works on stone, brick, and more. And remember, Alien Tape is the double-sided, ultra-strong tape that instantly locks into place and holds on tight. There are hundreds, maybe even thousands of uses for Alien Tape. Now here's your chance to try Alien Tape's TV offer.
Call or go online to get your roll of the incredible Alien Tape for the low price of just $19.99 plus shipping and processing. Order today, and you can get 2 additional rolls of Alien Tape, absolutely free. That's right, you can get 3 rolls of Alien Tape for one low price. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-742-0178. That's 1-800-742-0178, or go to tryalientape.com. So call 1-800-742-0178. That's 1-800-742-0178, or order online at tryalientape.com.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20. Go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
You know, there's this thing called age, and it sucks.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints by years. Introducing InstaFlex Advanced.
It's restored my joints without just temporarily masking my symptoms. When you can find a product that can take that away to the point that you can live your life again, that is a miracle to me.
Get a complimentary sample by texting SECRET to 231231. InstaFlex Advanced targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness with a unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies.
I love this product. I'm telling you, it works.
InstaFlex Advanced is the #1 selling joint brand at GNC, but you can only get your complimentary sample by texting SECRET to 231231. Plus, text now, and we'll include a tube of InstaFlex pain cream for fast-acting relief absolutely free. Text SECRET to 231231 today.
I thought I was sleeping okay, but I was waking up so tired. Then I tried new ZzzQuil Sleep Nasal Strips. Their 4-point lift design opens my nose for maximum airflow, so I breathe better.
And we both sleep better and stay married.
Better days start with ZzzQuil Nights.
When you're cooking on a Blackstone, you get a better cooking experience. Cook anything, anytime, anywhere. Go to your nearest Blackstone retailer or blackstoneproducts.com now and make everything better on a Blackstone.
All right, joining me now is the Democratic Senator Peter Welsh of Vermont. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, thank you for being with us this morning. Got a lot of stuff to cover with you, especially given your expertise with the Judiciary Committee and the conversation that I had with Professor Roosevelt a little while ago. But let's get right to Project 2025 for the moment. The Heritage Foundation president, Kevin Roberts, has said, quote, "We're in the process of a second American revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be," end quote, which sounds a little like a veiled threat and sounds like it leans into this violence that Donald Trump brings up all the time. But how do you respond to that and the weirdness around Project 2025? It's out there, Donald Trump now trying to distance himself from the organization and from Project 2025, which is an impossibility because it's a creature of the very people who surrounded and will surround Donald Trump.
Well, first of all, there's nothing veiled about that threat. That is a real threat. What we saw with January 6th was the adoption by the Trump folks, his supporters, of violence as a tool of political persuasion. And I really appreciate you going through that 2025 because it is extremely radical. It is going to get rid of 50,000 civil servants to put in ideologically committed Trumpites. And the goal is to totally remake in their own image, not in a democratic image, in their own image, a government that they want. And that would include, by the way, a few more Supreme Court justices to join the radical right. Also, that you said veiled threat. There's nothing veiled about that. That is an indication, Steve Bannon said it, that the process will be peaceful unless there's resistance, and resistance then may necessitate violence. So this gets back to why this question of our candidacy and what's going on and what happened with the debate is so urgent. The existential challenge for this country, and certainly for the Democratic Party as the main opposition to Trump, is to beat Trump. We have to win this election.
Stuart Stevens yesterday on the show from the Lincoln Project was saying that what might help Democrats, in addition to emphasizing policy successes and the fight against the limitations on abortion, is to lean into Project 2025, which is a big project because it's 900 pages, it's dense, it's a lot of stuff. People are not all that likely to read it. But do you think there's benefit in, as somebody who runs for office, as somebody who has to deal with constituents, is there benefit in trying to spell this out for Americans to say, your vote, even if it's a protest vote against Joe Biden, could end up voting for this very, very dangerous platform?
Well, absolutely. I mean, Project 2025 is the blueprint. And that is sort of the government in waiting if Donald Trump is reelected. And what's so dangerous about Trump this time, even more than last time, is he came in with some people and made mistakes. Like he put in a patriot like General Mattis to be in charge of the military. He's not going to make that mistake again. It's going to be yes men and yes women. And they are laying out the agenda they want from day one, and they've been working on it very hard. So talking about this is very, very important. Winning is the most essential. And we've got this situation now in the party where we are dealing with the age question that it was intensified as a result of that debate on last Thursday.
And how do you think that should be handled at this point? We understand that some of your Senate colleagues, or Mark Warner at least, of Virginia, is attempting to assemble some Senate Democrats to have a conversation with the president. What's your sense of how this should play out in a way that allows us to focus on actual threats to democracy and not go down too many rabbit holes for too long?
All right, here's the situation for us in the Democratic Party. We love Joe Biden. No one more than the state of Vermont. He got his highest percentage here. He is really generous and kind. He's been a very effective president, best agenda, I think, since LBJ. And he beat Trump. And the question now is the age question. When age casts its gaze on any of us, we all resist. But age will have its way. We all succumb. And we have to have, number one, a commitment to winning. Number two, that requires us to address how best do we win, what is our best candidate in the given situation. And it has to be somebody that can win in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So we as a party have a loyalty to one another and to the party, but the party has to have, first and foremost, the loyalty to serving the people of this country. And the job for our party is to defeat Donald Trump.
What's the timeline on this? How long can Democrats afford to be continuing to have this discussion?
I think just a couple of weeks. Now, first of all, it's going to be President Biden's decision. You know, he did a great job, and he was elected. He's the overwhelming selection of Democrats to be the nominee. And now we have this very unusual situation, unprecedented really, where there's a lot of questions about age. Those questions were there going into the debate. They've been intensified coming out. So if we're honest with ourselves and acknowledge that the American people have a question, we have to deal with that. And, you know, in the Stephanopoulos interview, the president, I think, was suggesting if the Lord Almighty came down, he might listen. But the bottom line here is it is Sunday. But bottom line, this is not a decision for Lord Almighty. This is a real world decision for real world people in politics and who care about our country to decide what we think is the best path forward. And it has to be the best path to give us the best chance of keeping Donald Trump in Project 2025 out of the White House.
Okay, so you said it shouldn't go on for more than a couple of weeks. It will be Joe Biden's decision, and the best path forward is the path that's going to allow to make sure that Donald Trump is defeated. Does that lead you to a conclusion as to what decision President Biden should make?
Well, I certainly have thoughts about it, but one of the things that I do think we owe President Biden is the respect that he's earned through a lifetime of service where he's always made his decisions through thick and thin, through personal tragedy and political setback. His decisions have always been what's best for the country. And that's where I hope the president, his advisors, don't refer to the Lord Almighty. They start listening to Democratic voters. They start listening to people in politics, in the Senate, in the House. Take that into consideration and take their time. But at the end of the day, make that decision on their honest assessment of what is best for the country to keep Donald Trump in Project 2025 way out of the White House.
Senator Peter Welch, good to see you. Thank you for joining us this morning. Democratic Senator Peter Welch of Vermont. Coming up, President Biden is out on the campaign trail today. We're watching for his arrival at a Northwest Philadelphia church this hour. We'll take you there. Plus, Richard Nixon infamously said of a criminal act committed by a president, quote, when the president does it, that means it's not illegal. This week, the Supreme Court essentially made that statement true, and we've not yet grappled with that radical ruling, what it's going to mean for Donald Trump's legal exposure, for his dangerous bid to return to power in the fall, and for the balance of power that holds this country together.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise. That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Connect with a provider today at ro.co/20.
Whether you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s and beyond, I know you're seeing changes in the skin on your body. Don't panic. It's never too late to transform yourself and your skin. And Crepe Erase is here to do just that.
Crepe Erase has been delivering smoother, firmer, younger-looking skin for almost a decade.
Did you know that Crepe Erase is America's #1 selling anti-aging body treatment system for dry, crepey skin? That's because it works, people.
The Crepe Erase two-step system is clinically shown to reduce crepey-looking skin the very first time you use it.
I just love my skin. I didn't love it before. I love it now.
And now there's big news. We're introducing the Skin Revitalizing Tool, specially designed to amplify the power of Crepe Erase.
This is the Skin Revitalizing Tool. It is new and it is free. Yes, you heard me right. It's free when you get the product.
Crepe Erase is already an incredible deal at only $49.95. But when you order today, we'll send you the Skin Revitalizing Tool, a $129 value free.
I mean, it's like having a spa in your hand.
And you'll also receive our luxurious neck repair treatment, a $49 value, free.
Since using Crepe Erase, the skin on my neck looks airbrushed. I love it.
These two incredible bonuses are valued together at $178, but they're our free gift to you.
Crepe Erase is something I recommend to my patients because it works.
Don't wait. Get all this, a $247 value for only $49.95, plus free shipping.
If you're not reveling in your younger-looking, soft and sexy skin, just return the bottles, even if they're used up and empty, and we'll give you your money back.
This is a limited-time offer that will not last. Scan the QR code, call, or go to crepeerase.com and order right now.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20. Go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
When did I call Leaf Filter? When I saw my gutters overflowing onto my porch.
Leaf Filter is a permanent gutter solution, so you never have to worry about costly damage from clogged gutters again.
It's the easiest call you can make.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
Oh,
My denture is uncomfortable.
Dracula, let's fight back against discomfort with new Polygrip Power Max Hold and Comfort. It has superior hold, plus keeps us comfy all day with its pressure-absorbing layer.
Time for a bite.
If your mouth could talk, it would ask for
Polygrip.
Just a few days ago, this nation celebrated the ratification of the Declaration of Independence, the founding document which established the United States as its own democracy. The opening line reads, quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal." And this very first line is perhaps the greatest flaw of the document, because at the time it was written, it was a lie. That line and that original document did not apply to all Americans, not even to all men. The rights and freedoms afforded by the U.S. Constitution were not enjoyed by black people, by other minorities, or women. Since 1776, the country has evolved through difficult periods to get to where we are now. Following the Civil War, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. The 14th Amendment made formerly enslaved people American citizens. The 15th Amendment gave black men the right to vote in 1870. Women did not win that right until the 19th Amendment in 1920. Native Americans not until 1924. And even then, rights that existed on paper often did not exist in the real world. Well into the middle of the 20th century, black people were denied access to the ballot by explicitly racist laws, by terrorism, by violence. Many states, especially in the South, used literacy tests, poll taxes, and fear tactics to keep black citizens disenfranchised. Jim Crow laws enforced strict segregation and condoned violence from white supremacist groups like the Ku Klux Klan. For decades after Reconstruction, the United States did not pass a single civil rights bill. In 1963, after years and years of marches and nonviolent demonstrations, calls to action, and undue violence at the hands of police, President John F. Kennedy introduced the most comprehensive civil rights legislation the nation had ever seen. Kennedy said the U.S., quote, "will not be fully free until all of its citizens are free." Kennedy was assassinated the following November, but his successor, President Lyndon B. Johnson, under continued pressure by civil rights leaders and the protest movement, took up the mantle. And on July the 2nd, 1964, 60 years ago last week, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 became law. The Civil Rights Act banned segregation in public places and employment discrimination based on race, religion, or national origin. Black people and other minorities could no longer be publicly denied service simply because of the color of their skin. And it later expanded to protect disabled Americans, the elderly, and female college athletes. President Johnson signed the bill in the East Room of the White House 60 years ago this week, surrounded by civil rights heroes like Martin Luther King Jr., standing right behind MLK. Hard to make out right now, but is Ralph Abernathy, and to the left of Abernathy is the late John Lewis.
We believe that all men are entitled to the blessings of liberty, yet millions are being deprived of those blessings, not because of their own failures, but because of the color of their skin. The reasons are deeply embedded in history and tradition and the nature of man. We can understand without rancor or hatred how this all happened, but it cannot continue. Our Constitution, the foundation of our republic, forbids it. The principles of our freedom forbid it. Morality forbids it. And the law I will sign tonight forbids it.
The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is considered the crowning legislative achievement of the civil rights movement, and it forged the way for two major follow-up bills. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, which prohibited several discriminatory voting practices because even though black people had the right to vote, exercising that right continued to be a challenge. And the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which banned discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of property, although that problem persists today in the shadows. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a monumental step forward for our nation, but even after 60 years, there are political forces at work trying to pull us backward. The John Roberts Supreme Court, which now has a conservative supermajority, gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013 and eviscerated affirmative action last year. And so far this year, Republican lawmakers have introduced 50 bills in 20 states to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Martin Luther King famously reminded us that the arc of the moral universe is long, but bends towards justice. What we have to remember is that it does not bend by itself. It bends the way you bend it. And that takes long, hard work.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Rolaids dual active formula begins to neutralize acid on contact. Rolaid spells relief.
My name is Braden. I was 5 years old when I came to St. Jude. I'll try and shorten down the story. So I've been having these headaches that wouldn't go away. My mom, she was just crying. What they said, your son has brain cancer.
It was your worst fear coming to life.
Watching your child grow up is the dream of every parent. You can join the battle to save the lives of kids like Braden by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food, so they can focus on helping their child live.
What they have done for me, my son, my family. Sorry, yeah.
Life is a gift, especially for a child battling cancer. Call or go online and help save the lives of children like Braden.
Now I'm 11 years old. We were actually doing the checkup for my brain, and they saw something in my throat. It's thyroid cancer.
It was heartbreaking to find out that he has cancer again, but we knew who we had behind us. It just gives me hope.
You can make a difference. Join with your credit or debit card for only $19 a month, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt.
Without St. Jude or its donors, we would have been in a bad place.
These kids, they've done nothing wrong in the world. Finding a cure for childhood cancer, it means everything.
Help St. Jude give kids with cancer a chance.
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate. So I take Cunol Magnesium to support my muscle and bone health. Cunol's extra strength, high absorption magnesium helps me get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
I'm Richard Karn, and I love my hose. It ain't those old hoses, it's the new Pocket Hose Copper Bullet infused with real copper. Turn on the water, and it grows to a full-size hose. Turn off the water, and it shrinks back to a pocket-size hose with layered latex inside and a polymer jacket outside. It's 3 times stronger. Order your Pocket Hose Copper Bullet today and get the thumb drive spray nozzle free. Hurry, order now.
At Grainger, we know the ones who get it done wear a lot of hats. That's why we're always here for you with professional-grade products and the knowledge to help answer tough product questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Rolaids dual active formula begins to neutralize acid on contact. Rolaid spells relief.
President Biden's got a full day of campaigning ahead of him. He's about to arrive at a church in Northwest Philadelphia where he will attend the service and he will then deliver remarks. We think in about an hour. He's also set to attend a campaign event with the First Lady later this afternoon in the Pennsylvania state capital, Harrisburg. The president is stepping up his public appearances and media interviews in the aftermath of his self-described bad night debating Donald Trump. NBC News is reporting that Biden's interview with George Stephanopoulos did little to encourage Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill who fear that Biden's candidacy may be beyond repair. So far, 5 Democrats in the House have publicly called on the president to bow out of the race before November. Biden, for his part, has made it clear he's not considering that option and won't, in his words, until the Lord Almighty asks him to. For more on this, I'm joined by the former Democratic Congressman Max Rose of New York. He currently is the vice chairman of the Soufan Group, and Basil Smikle is a political analyst for MSNBC, a Democratic strategist, and the director of the master's program in nonprofit management at Columbia University. Welcome to both of you. Thank you both for being here. Basil, you and I were on this together since Friday night, so I want to get a sense of what your pulse is of how things have evolved since Friday. And the three pieces of information are that Friday afternoon he had a rally, Friday night he had the interview, Friday evening he had the interview with George Stephanopoulos, and then the world has gotten to sound off on the whole thing. Where do you think we are?
Well, clearly Joe Biden is very convicted about his desire and decision to stay in the race. And is trying to get not only just the party but the voters to believe that he's going forward full steam ahead. And I think we're seeing it. The fact that he's doing rallies, the fact that he's going to a church today, I think shows that. The second point is that you're seeing congressional leaders, at least Hakeem Jeffries, started to meet with his members to try to sort of level set and say, hey, look, given what we've heard, let me hear from you. What do you need? And my sense is that, my hope is that from that meeting, those that might have been on the fence or concerned, that Hakeem is prepared to say, here are the resources, here's the support that I could give you to kind of shore up your races. But the third point is when you actually look at what's happening on the ground, when you listen to voters, they're like, yeah, this is the guy that brought us to this place. Let's stay with him. Let's ride with him. There's not necessarily a huge reason to change in the middle of this race 4 months from the general election. And if he decides, President Biden, that there needs to be a change, and we give him the space to do that, then as a party, let's kind of build some cohesion and move forward. Again, full steam ahead, because what's on the other side is far more dangerous.
Max, I was talking to Peter Welsh, Senator Peter Welsh of Vermont a few minutes ago, and he echoed a lot of this stuff. He said he thinks it should be Joe Biden's decision. He said he's got concerns. He didn't want to sort of bring them out in a full-throated way, as Basil has recommended that not everybody has to air all of their laundry all the time in public. But he did say he thinks we've got a couple of weeks to work this out before this becomes the narrative of the entire campaign.
No, he's wrong. It's all worked out. It's done. Biden's running. Okay, look, the other side, their guy gets convicted on 34 counts, and they're out there cheering for him outside the courtroom.
They're dressed like him, too.
Yeah, look, what was strange here is that Biden's campaign staff went through their own form of being shell-shocked.
Right.
They were quiet for 5 days. Thank God they've moved beyond that phase now, and they're out there aggressively campaigning, putting him out there. They need to do more of that. This is not rocket science. Every single Democrat that I talk to in a position of prominence desperately wants Joe Biden to be the nominee. It's not like they're pissed off at his record for the last three and a half years. They want him to be the nominee. They just want him to act like it. And thank God now they're starting to do that. So as quickly as possible, the Democratic Party needs to get out of this phase where they're acting as if they have another option. Get disciplined, stay focused, and focus on the extraordinarily extremist, dangerous candidate that we are facing as a party.
I got Project 25 sitting next to me on the desk. I carry this everywhere I go because to remind people, this is your other option at the moment.
Exactly.
This is your other option. Right. Basil, you have mentioned this. Max said stay disciplined.
Yep.
And you have pointed out that that's a difficult thing for the Democratic Party of today to do, because there was a time when the Democratic Party was that organization that was super disciplined, and it's just not now. Well, and that might be a good thing, but it's not.
Well, it's two things. One, it's not the machine that we would normally talk about Democratic or even Republican political machines to be. It is decentralized intentionally so it's more grassroots and more democratic. But the issue of message discipline is still incredibly important. So as we talk about what's happening on the other side and Donald Trump, you would go to a Donald Trump supporter and say, but what about his convictions? What about his felonies? What trial? What felonies? What convictions, right? Because they are in a cultish manner steadfastly supportive of him. We are not that as Democrats at all. But that issue of message discipline is important because what a voter wants to hear is that you're fighting for them.
Guys, stay here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue this discussion because there's more to do here. Max Rose and Basil Smikle. We'll be right back.
Okay, y'all, we got 10 orders coming in.
Starting a business is never easy, but starting at 8 months pregnant, that's a different story. I couldn't slow down. We were starting a business from the ground up. People were showing up left and right, and so did our business needs. The Chase e-card made it easy. When you go for something big like this, your kids see that, and they believe they can do the same.
Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase with the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card from Chase for Business. Make more of what's yours.
Look out, 'cause here I come.
Have you always had trouble losing weight and keeping it off? Same.
Discover the power of Wegovy.
And I'm marching on to the beat I drum.
With Wegovy, I lost 35 pounds. And some lost over 46 pounds.
Wegovy.
And I'm keeping the weight off.
Wegovy helps you lose weight and keep it off.
I'm reducing my risk.
Wegovy is the only FDA-approved weight management medicine that's proven to reduce risk of major cardiovascular events in adults with known heart disease and with either obesity or overweight.
Wegovy shouldn't be used with semaglutide or GLP-1 medicines. Don't take Wegovy if you or your family had medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if allergic to it. Stop Wegovy and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis and gallbladder problems. Wegovy may cause low blood sugar in people with diabetes, especially if you take medicines to treat diabetes. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes, or if you feel your heart racing while at rest. Depression or thoughts of suicide may occur. Call your provider right away if you have any mental changes. Common side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems.
With Wegovy,
I'm losing weight.
I'm keeping it off.
And I'm lowering my CV risk.
That's the power of Wegovy.
Check your cost and coverage before talking to your healthcare professional about Wegovy.
Whoa, how'd you get your teeth so white?
You gotta use the right toothpaste.
Dr. C?
Not all toothpaste whiten the same.
Crest 3D White removes 100% more stains for a noticeably whiter smile.
New personal best.
Crest.
Only Purple's Gel Flex Grid passes the raw egg test. No other mattress cradles your body and simultaneously supports your spine. Memory foam doesn't come close. Get your best sleep guaranteed. Save up to $800 during our 4th of July sale. Visit purple.com or a store near you.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. Go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
Waterline broke. Replacing kit costs thousands. Not covered by homeowners insurance.
Honey, wake up. Here's Tom Rusin, CEO of HomeServe.
A plan from HomeServe pays for the covered repair cost for water lines, and we send a qualified contractor. The American dream of owning a home doesn't need to be a nightmare.
Sleep well with HomeServe.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $7.99 a month.
Call 1-800-355-9395 or visit homeserve.com.
After Homoglow cleaned our place for $19, we fired our old housekeeper. Homoglow tackled everything, from our kitchen to our bathroom, all our laundry. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19.
Back with me is the former Democratic Congressman Basil Smikle is not a former Democratic congressman, and neither of them are the two guys you're looking at on stage. So why don't we just reset this whole thing? That in front of you is President Biden. He is in Northwest Philadelphia at the Mount Airy Church of God in Christ, where he has just arrived. He's going to, my understanding, he's going to sit through the sermon, and then he's going to perhaps make some comments in about an hour or so. But we shall see how this all unfolds. There's some prayer underway at the moment, and I feel badly talking over it. However, can't hear it, so I don't know what it is. Here in the studio with me is the former Democratic Congressman Max Rose and Basil Smikle, who is a Democratic strategist and a professor and program director at Columbia University. Max, let's talk about this. You know, on one hand, Basil said the other day that Biden's a grown man and he's a grown man and everybody should decide for themselves how it is they present themselves. But it does look like, as you said, the party and the president have decided they're going to step up his appearances. They're going to put him out there in environments where he tends to do well and perhaps curtail the environments in which he doesn't do well. Tell me what you think.
to stop, and it's imperative that the party leadership make sure that that happens.
That's right. I mean, look, for the last week, most of us don't know what Donald Trump's been doing because he hasn't been doing anything, because he doesn't need to do anything.
Well, he put out a post denying that he has anything to do with Project 2025, which was a fun exercise.
And if that's all you know, right, that is a win for him, because Democrats within the Democratic Party are talking about Joe Biden and telling him that he should get out. I mean, that's the problem, right? That the focus has been taken off of Project 2025. One of the greatest things that happened to the campaign in the last week had nothing to do with the campaign itself. It was Taraji P. Henson on the stage of the BET Awards talking about Project 2025 to a national audience of African-American viewers.
Right.
What I would have loved was for the campaign to take advantage of that and kind of amplify that, because those are the kinds of opportunities and natural moments that can actually make a difference and turn the tide. There's still time. And I think that's why it's really important that you see Joe Biden out there going to a black church today, but continue to be on the campaign trail, press forward. Don't give people the belief that somehow we're stuck in this place, can't get out, and now they've got to figure out another decision.
And let's look at what John Fetterman has been saying. You know, we were talking about this previously. He really had god-awful debates.
Right, correct, yes. He was suffering from an illness, had a terrible debate performance, and had a stroke all before the election.
Couldn't have been worse.
Couldn't have been worse, yeah.
And he ended up winning by a much wider margin than anybody thought was possible here. And he has come out as a very loud and forceful advocate for the president. Debates matter, but they only matter so much. What matters just as much is what they are doing right now. So let's not have another debate like that. Yes, of course. But let's also not go back to that time period after the debate where there was for 4 or 5 days you couldn't find the president. What's happening? Politics hates a vacuum, right? And if they go back to those moments of silence, you'll see more of these members of Congress come out and say, oh, he shouldn't run, and people will talk and this and that. Message, 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 and I think it'll be better days ahead.
And my senior producer is telling me that actually when Joe Biden's plane landed, John Fetterman was there. Yeah. He's being a sort of a cheerleader to Biden on a very personal level to say, other people can support you. I was actually in the position you were in and came back literally from the dead. That most people in Pennsylvania at the time did not think John Fetterman was going to prevail in that Senate election.
No, it is absolutely right. And his defense of Joe Biden is exactly what we needed in that moment. This is our guy. He has been a phenomenal president. But let's talk about what Donald Trump has been doing and been saying. There couldn't be a clearer distinction. And I would just say, just very briefly, how many times do we need to have Joe Biden tell the truth before we recognize that Donald Trump is only telling us lies? Yeah. Because we can't equate those two things.
I mean, just the post I was telling you about the last couple of days where he told himself, where he says, I don't know anything about this Project 2025. Right. It took us all of 5 minutes on our team to link every chapter in this book to somebody who worked with Donald Trump. I mean, it's always a lie. It's not an occasional lie. And it's a misspeak.
And it's a 180-day plan. This is not a 10-year plan.
Yes.
Project 2025 is 180 days. So your life is going to change dramatically within 180 days if Donald Trump becomes president of the United States.
Guys, I appreciate this. Former Democratic Congressman Max Rose, vice chairman of the Soufan Group. Basil Smikle is a professor of practice and director of the MS program in nonprofit management at Columbia University School of Professional Studies. He's an MSNBC political analyst. We're watching Joe Biden, who is at the Mount Airy Church of God in Christ in Northwest Philadelphia. Straight ahead, we got a whirlwind of terrible and terribly reasoned decisions from the Supreme Court, which have transformed the legal landscape for Donald Trump. But the bigger danger lies in the ways in which it has transformed the political landscape and the constitutional balance of powers with 4 months to go before Election Day. Another hour of Velshi begins now. Good morning to you. It is Sunday, July the 7th. I'm Ali Velshi. The principle that no one is above the law is one of our most cherished values. The rule of law, the idea that laws apply equally to all members of society, is fundamental to American democracy, distinguishing us from the autocracies and despots of the world. That desire for a just and lawful system of government was a driving force behind the American Revolution and the creation of the United States. The U.S. Constitution, which enshrines this notion, stands